always have resistance. Homes that consistent. General order for resistance. HOLC assistant. Robin's airport resistant. Resistant. Black Wall Street resistant. DR New Deal assistant. Granddad of executive order is for. General order for resistance. HOLC Robin's airport resistance. Black Wall Street resistance. DR New Deal assistant. Stand off executive order resistance. Early setting hardy. We've all seen experience at the early setting hardy. Even with aspirants at the early 1900s. That when niggas ruled for early 1900s. We were black and beautiful. We've all seen experience at the early setting hardy. Even with aspirants at the early 1900s. That when niggas ruled for early 1900s. We were black and beautiful. Homes that consistent. General order for resistance. HOLC assistant. Robin's airport resistant. Assistant. Black Wall Street resistant. FBA New Deal assistant. Randolph executive order resistant. Early Sadie Argent, we like some respiration. Early Sadie Argent, we been with respiration. Early 90s, early 90s, we were black and beautiful. We like some respiration. Early Sadie Argent, we been with respiration. Early 90s, every nigga rooster. Early 90s, we were black and beautiful. Homes that are consistent. General order for resistance. HOLC assistant. Robin's airport assistant. Legacies transcend. Black Wall Street resistant. ADR New Deal assistant. Philip Randolph executive order resistant.
Peace to the family. Peace to the family. Late night. You dig? Late night, yeah. So you got clowns, you got coon conservative tethers, you got coon conservative FBAs, and you just got your Charlie Kirks out there who all believe that systemic racism is no longer around. Your Myron Gaines believe the same thing, and black folks are just FBAs specifically. We're just failing because our culture is just terrible. It's violent. We don't get married, single parent homes, it ain't systemic racism. It's the fact that we're not married. They argue that it's because we rap the way we rap, gangster rap. These are all the reasons why we're behind, not systemic racism. So when when that cosplaying Tether was on the channel, and I couldn't figure him out first, trying to figure out where he's coming from, and it took me a while because I wasn't sure if he's a Garveyite, like Pan-Africanist. Wasn't sure if he's FBA, just giving hard criticism, or I'm to my own code, just giving a little hard criticism of Dr. King. I couldn't really figure him out until he kept saying Booker T. Washington and those like him. And I know Booker T. Washington was pushing the old bootstrap stuff when he was kind of off code. You dig? Like the things he did with the institution was great, but he was off code. A black activist at the time was pushing for civil rights, right? So Booker T. Washington, from what I understand, uh, was saying, "Hey man, you just work hard, white folks leave you alone," type shit. And our activists like, "Yo, nah, that ain't it. That ain't it. Like you're dealing with a real devil here who don't respect anything, and we got to kind of force him to acknowledge some rights, right? Uh, or don't practice his evilness too open. Have some shame because the world is watching," type shit. So when he kept bigging up Booker T and these health help things, I like, okay, he's definitely conservative. So I said, so let me ask you about welfare. So there's certain trap questions where you can ask a Pan Africanist, you can ask a just a hating African, and you can ask a conservative, and they always give up their position. So I said, what's your thoughts on welfare? Because I know their position. He said, oh man, we already had a discussion. So that means we already debated it. So he is a coon, right? So I was like, okay. Okay. So I said, there's no need to go over that again then. And I don't even remember this guy, but I take his word. So I said, what about systemic racism? And, all that type of stuff. And then he finally let the cat out the bag. I forced him to let the cat out the bag. He didn't believe it was real. All right. So I want to just pull that up real quick. 1 second. Let me close out some of these tabs. Hold on. Let me close out some of these tabs so my screen don't freeze. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay. So hopefully that'll do it. All right. Now I got to find the actual video. Which one? Was it Supreme? Was it? Okay. So it was either the Marcus Garvey. No, no. Okay. It was the next one. It was the Supreme Court. I got it. I got it, family. Here we are. Yeah, it's nothing else.
That I just
What's your
was
thoughts
simply
on
stating,
reparations?
huh?
What's your thoughts? So that's your thoughts on reparations. I'm just trying to figure them out. Thoughts on reparations. Neither was the Jewish Holocaust survivors. People talk to me and they.
And that you this, but I just refer to y'all as the Marxist Negroes. I said,
Here we go. Now, she going to also approve the next black person, or is she going to abide by the law?
well, now
Here we
here's
go. I
here's
got him. I got him.
this fought for legislation.
Question. Okay.
Us.
Okay.
It's
Okay. When did it end? Well, no, no, no. Uh, let me see. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see if there's something else that. Oh, do you believe systemic racism is real and alive today? Look how quiet he got.
no.
Damn. So you don't believe? Okay, hold on. Let me repeat the question again.
Mhm.
Do you believe systemic racism is alive and well today?
No.
Okay, when did it end? Well, no, no, no. The first question. Sorry, I jumped ahead. Was it ever alive and well?
I mean, of course, it was written in the law.
Okay, when did it end? Wait. Wait. So you believe systemic racism is always written in law? So that's the thing where they try to argue. Racism was in the law. So as long as the laws were struck down, racism ended. You dig? So that's their coon conservative talking point. That's why I believe he's a tether because there's not a lot of there's more tethers believing that today or pushing that today than FBA coons.
No, I said that.
Okay.
I s-
Okay.
it's,
So when did it end?
hmm
So
Well,
when see family, I know a question to ask. Okay, so now when did it end? If it was alive and well, and it's not
mhm,
alive and well today, so then now
it's
the
not.
most important question, the obvious question is when did it end?
Well, the civic leaders went to Washington
Look at the
and
stupid.
fought for legislation that would expand the black middle class, that would strike down those laws, it ended.
You heard this guy.
So
From there
hold
on,
on.
I think it's up.
Wait,
And
So in other words, they'll argue that conservatives will argue that it ended in 1968, you know, or 1970, the latest. But you'll get 1968 or 1970. They'll argue systemic racism ended there. That this tether coon.
let
wait,
me
wait,
on
wait.
this minute.
No. I gotta stop you. I can't let you poison my chat. Systemic racism. Do you think that's only written in laws? It doesn't carry. So okay. So a white person at a bank who just denied me a loan during segregation. Now the law is struck down. She still worked there.
Mhm.
She still worked there. Now she going to also approve the next black person, or is she going to abide by the law?
Well, now here's the common sense approach to that, right?
And
And
he's
I
gonna
and
tap
I
out.
love when the and I'm not saying that you this, but I just refer to y'all as the Marxist Negroes. I said,
Okay, so he don't want to address the scenario I brought up. So we're Marxist Negroes. Okay, so that was recently, but listen to this coon right here. This is a whole different coonservative. Wait. Before I do that, let me shout out the chat, the late chat. First class citizen, Sam B, Claire 64, Donnie Williams, I am sixth. We got Diamond, will post what she wants. We got MC Fact, Black Feather, Archery, Pinky Wells, LA Hopkins, Timothy. Peace to you guys. We say grand and night, right? Okay. So now let's get it. Okay, I can get past the intro. All right, let me get past this intro. Okay.
City. You know, it's New Orleans is sitting on a gold mine, but unfortunately, there's too
That's him right
many
there.
stupid blacks that it basically that's hampering New Orleans from reaching its full potential. Okay. But behind that, like I said, it's a good city. It's a nice city to be in. Those people say they visit. If we can address like I said, a lot of that, ghetto behavior, ghetto mentality amongst blacks, we'll be much better off as a people, a group in America.
Yeah, I agree to.
So the thumbnail is him, by the way. That's him in the thumbnail. So his claim was in Louisiana. That's where he's at, New Orleans. He says too many stupid blacks in New Orleans holding back the black race, the black communities, and he blames it on ghetto mentality. So that's their way of saying culture. But that's classic pathology argument. Okay, where they blame the oppressed for conditions engineered through redlining, urban disinvestment, and federal neglect, aka systemic racism. So he says New Orleans, the ghettoization, that New Orleans ghettoization family is traced back to what I talk about a lot, like the 1933 HOLC maps and post Katrina redevelopment that excluded FBA residents. Okay, so the city's wealth, the ports, tourism, oil, that never reached FBA neighborhoods because of structural segregation, not ghetto behavior. Okay, so when the Corps of Engineers underfunded black levies, they underfunded the black levies. It was because of ghetto mentality, not government neglect. Flint water and the other water issues, is that systemic racism or government neglect, or is that the ghetto mentality? All right. So he goes on to say this right here.
You believe that at one point, because I agree at one point white supremacy was here, do you believe at one point there was a system called systemic racism?
Yes.
And you don't believe that's no longer here?
Right,
No.
first class citizen.
There's no
Okay,
evidence
so-
of it.
So what was the evidence of it when it first was here? What was the evidence of it then?
So now I take a light on my aunt felt like Auntie Nana felt like I took it easy on him. She was mad when she heard the replay. You took it easy on him, blah blah blah. And I was like, maybe I did, but I can't always scream at people. 'Cause I meet people with the same energy, and he didn't come with like crazy, terrible energy. So I ain't take it easy. He just ain't turn up.
Well, I would say segregation laws, Jim Crow laws that basically you can literally point to and say it hampered blacks.
See, so they try to narrow it down to it has to be a law. If it ain't written down in ink, then you can't prove systemic racism. That's the new argument. A lot of conservatives and racist conservatives like to repeat and regurgitate.
It existed. We can all agree that there were laws
Satchel Ohio.
and a system in place that hampered blacks, but those laws and systems are no longer in place.
Okay, so now, do you know the definition, the textbook definition of systemic racism?
I can imagine what it is, but go ahead and give me the textbook. So
what you mean?
So we on the seeing eye to eye. Go ahead and give it to me.
Yeah, so it's more than just laws. It's policies, institutions. It's and then everything that's there creates a lopside where it holds one group down, and by doing that, at the same time, simultaneously, it upholds another, or lifts up another group. So it holds one group down at the same time, catapults another group. So now, when you have that unbalance like that, okay, so if two kids are racing and I'm saying, on your mark, get set, go, and I hold one kid back and the kid goes to run, that's not systemic racism. I got to also help push that kid go further. So that means that kid he won the race, but I helped him, I pushed him, I grabbed him. At the same time, I'm holding the other kid back from running. So it's two things. I'm helping another person succeed, so they're not succeeding by their own merit. I'm pushing them, so it looks like they're succeeding on their own merit. They're not. And I'm holding another group back where they can't succeed.
So much for meritocracy.
And again, it's not their own lack of merit that they can't succeed. So one action causes two different results, and the results are reflected by one group is successful in something, and the other group has fell short. That's systemic racism. You agree with that?
Okay. Yeah. Well, can you give me an example of how white folks are being pushed and black folks are being held back, or these institutions?
Okay. So all right. Let's start.
You look Caribbean. He might be.
1862.
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that was an act of systemic racism?
Yeah, in 1862.
Right.
1862.
Yeah. I'm just starting
We live
from
in 2025. Okay, we live in 2025 right now.
So I can't bring up nothing from the past. It has to be 2025, or at least in the 2000s, for it to be systemic racism. So like that's where he's trying to hold me to.
The Homestead
Yes,
Act
you
is completely relevant to today.
Yeah, but I just don't. I'm
Yes.
just trying to fill you out. To what are you aware of? Because remember,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm aware
trying to. Right. Remember, I'm trying to get to why we are the way we are today. It's not just by you woke up and also I'm trying to get to why people are ahead, doing well in America. That just didn't happen, for hard work, sweat, tears, and blood. But I just want to point out the Homestead Act of 1862. You agree that was like government assistance. It was freely gifted to white people in this country to till land for about 5 years. As long as they tilled for 5 years, they had free access to, I believe it was 160 acres of land 270 million acres in total. But the question is, we agree that was like government assistance.
160 acres per person, 270 million total that they gave out.
It was gifted to white people for free. They didn't work for it. It wasn't deserved to. It wasn't owed. It was just a free gift for whites to help them with land ownership. We agree?
Yes.
Okay. So at the same time,
Michael. Okay. Wait.
Just one more thing. At the same time, black folks were excluded. So I'm just dealing with 1862. Then believe me, I'm gonna bring it all the way down to 2025. So at the same time, white people were gifted something. They didn't work for it at all. Black folks were excluded and denied land ownership rights. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that is systemic racism. But go ahead. I want you to respond.
Okay. My only question to that is I don't, crying about the past is not going to help black people today. Because again, the Homestead Act is not stopping one single black person today from doing achieving anything. So I say you can sit here, keep looking in the past about stuff that you can't change. Nobody can do anything about 1865 or whatever. Nobody alive today can do anything about 1865. You can do something about 2025.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up
instead of focusing on the Homestead Act and this alleged advantage that white people had, how about focus on what you have today? Why keep living in the past, looking at the past? There's nothing that a black person can't do achieve today, and anybody can gain success in America. There's a reason why Indian Americans are people who migrate to America from India have the highest income per capita, not because of the Homestead Act they got.
All right, so of course I'm gonna cook on that one. Let me rewind that one a little bit. I'm gonna cook on that, but Nigerians are the leading in that. But the definition of white supremacy I gave them was a real action. It wasn't a belief. All right, white supremacy is a power structure. White dominance in the housing, banking, education, and policing still persists. Okay, so when he says, "Oh no, there's no white supremacy, just black inferiority," um, that ignores how centuries of exclusion shaped outcomes. Okay, so like he can't really call it black inferiority when the race that I analogy I gave, um, the race never got to start. We never started the race, so just white folks running and racing, and we just sitting back watching. It was a rigged race, is what I'm trying to put out the old man. So I explained what systematic racism is holding people down from elevating while you push another people up. So you have people elevating who wouldn't have been elevating on their own naturally. You literally push them towards elevation, while the other group who wouldn't naturally fail, but you're holding them down to fail. That's systemic racism. It's to disadvantage one group while creating advantages for the other group. Okay. So what I'm trying to let the guy know that systemic racism doesn't stop because signs are taken down or because I'm no longer called the N word. That's not how um, it works, because it was policy that gives them immunity when they do those terrible things, right? So I mentioned the Homestead Act of 1862. He said it's irrelevant because we're in 2025. All right. So I talked about the 270 million acres of free land, 10% of U.S. territory transferred to whites. Its equity compounds through 8 generations. Okay. That ain't stuck in 1862. We talking about 8 generations. Okay, so that land created rural collateral, farm credit, oil leases, wealth instruments still in use today, buddy. It's not old news. So saying the past doesn't matter while white folks are cashing their grandparents' farm equity check ain't, the move. Okay, so let's see what else he says.
advantage that white people had. How about focus on what you have today? Why keep living in the past, looking at the past? There's nothing that a black person can do achieve today, and anybody can gain success in America. There's a reason why Indian Americans are people who migrate to America from India have the highest income per capita, not because of the Homestead Act they got.
Wait, and who is that?
Indian Americans have the highest income per capita in America. These Americans are the people who are Indian descent from India, not Indians as in
okay, yeah.
not Native Americans. Indian Americans have the highest income per capita in America. Did they get a Homestead Act or because no, they worked for it.
No. No, wait. When you say they worked for, are you saying they came to America and then they tied their bootstraps and became successful working in America, like from ground zero, like black folks had to start, or did they come to America with education and wealth already?
No, most of them come here with nothing. Because what wealth and education is in India.
So I set him up to cook him on what a hyper selection is. He fell for it.
Okay, so look,
is India a wealthy, prosperous nation?
Yes. Well, not is it. Hold on. What I meant to say, not yes, of course not. They're a third world country. What I'm saying is the Indians that come to America, brother, they are hyper selected. They are the top 5% of their country. They are well educated, and a lot of them already have wealth that was generated in India. The same goes for Nigerians. The same goes for Chinese people. They are called hyper selected. Okay, and then they come over and work visas, H-1B.
What about Dinesh D'Souza? He didn't come here with all that. I think there's plenty of Indian Dinesh D'Souza. He didn't come here. He came here with the clothes on his back. None of that still means anything, because just as somebody come here as wealth doesn't mean that you need wealth to be able to produce anything.
Wait, just hold on.
Once again, I don't care. We shouldn't be worrying about what anybody else has. You should be worrying about what we as black people have today now. I don't give a damn when nobody came to this country. You can be able to produce now. Stop crying about white supremacy and be able to produce. I don't care what advantage you think somebody got.
I don't cry.
You can be able to choose anything in this country. So stop worrying about what somebody else has. Worry about what black people have and what we do, and how we need to progress in the problems that we need to fix among the black.
What do you want? Okay, but when we do focus on ourselves and we look at the past to look at why we're here and what can we do about it, we got folks like you say, don't look at the past, just focus on what's in front of you. But that's not realistic. With anything, with science, even with science, you got to focus on the past. All right, but look,
it's not.
So let me bring it to speed. All right, so because I have like a little timeline that I'm gonna bring to 2025. I started 1862 just to establish something. So now, right after 1862, you had obviously Abraham Lincoln, and the Union had won the war, and they emancipated the enslaved black people, right? That was enslaved. 65, then that's 13, then 14, 15, 16. Okay, so now black folks leading up, during the Civil War, because Abraham Lincoln passed a law in 1863 that allowed us to fight in the Civil War to help win. And part of that deal, some of our leaders arranged 40 acres in a mill with Abraham Lincoln.
I said mill.
He agreed. His general agreed. Okay. So now, as you know, the war was won, and then 40 acres in a mill. I think it was like 40 million acres altogether. No, 400,000 acres altogether was issued to black people who the agreement was that you help win, here you go.
So 270 million for white people, 400,000 for black folk. Unbelievable.
400,000 acres, and it'd be 40 to each person. You divide up amongst yourselves. And so you agree that systemic racism returned that 400,000 acres back to the Confederates, because it was Confederate land. We agree with that, because now I'm bringing you towards 25. Okay, so then you had something called the Freedmen Bank, right? The Freedmen Bank was banks that was established by Abraham Lincoln and his administration, where black folks would have it was a savings bank where black folks, and only a savings bank where black folks were able to work and deposit their money in this facility or this institution. Are you familiar with the Freedmen Bank?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, I'll stay just a 1 minute. So we accumulated, I believe, in today's term with inflation and everything, we accumulated like $76 million in today's time. Had that bank exist right now, we accumulated $76 million. White folks literally turned it upside down. Basically took the money, ran with it, invested money in high volatile investments, sabotaged the bank. So $76 million in the trash. Black folks got to start back at zero. While those white folks 3 years ago got the Homestead Act, 27 million acres of land. So that's a lopsidedness already, right? So now we got to start back from zero. We had like a little level up, kind of close to where white folks is at, 160 acres for them, 40 for us. We got a fourth of what they got. Cool. But that's a start. Now they took our start and made us start from zero all over again. All right. That's like a little unbalanced. So now we're just trying to figure out how can we catch up where it's an even playing field. All right. So when you go from there, are you familiar with, so now around the 1900s, so we ain't going to talk about the formation of KKK who terrorized. We're going to talk about, are you familiar with the convict leasing in the Peterson system?
No.
Okay. So at this time, states like Alabama, Mississippi, mainly slave states, what they did was they started to, because the 13th Amendment clause, you're free from slavery, and slavery is illegal unless you commit a felony. So they started to lock up black folks for vagrancy. And when they did that, they would charge us to pay like the sheriff a certain amount of money, the judge a certain amount of money, and like I think the county clerk or the clerk in the office a certain amount of money. Now we were arrested for vagrancy, not working. So I don't know how we're going to pay a fine. But those folks who couldn't pay a fine, this is called convict leasing. They leased them to the steel mills, the coal mines, and this became like the second wave of slavery. And this happened all the way until the Civil Rights Act. But what I'm pointing out is that white folks, a lot of establishments, like I think Alabama's economy was 70% based on this illegal practice. So we see the imbalance again, like black folks working, they can't reap their own benefit, and the money goes towards some white people, some white handlers, and some states. Okay. So that was like that's right after like 1880, something like that. And I'm sure you're aware of, and I'm not going to stay here, but I'm just recapping. I'm sure you're aware of, I'm summarizing. I'm sure you're aware of like Black Wall Street, the black neighborhoods that made a little money. White folks came and stripped those away from us systemically, right? Systemic racism. They wiped us out.
Well, yeah, they burned down Black Wall Street. Yeah, it was burned down. Yeah.
And then you had black. So you had well, there's all called Black Street. There's a whole bunch of them. You had Little Haiti, and they ran highways through other ones. And they
by the way, just want to say, Black Wall Street was rebuilt, and it was actually rebuilt back better, and it had more shops.
Well,
okay, so he said Black Wall Street was rebuilt and rebuilt back better. All right, interesting. Okay, so 40 acres of the mule. I talked about that. It was promised to us and then revoked. I talked about the Freedmen's Bank. The Freedmen's Bank collapse, sabotaged by Whitey. Okay. The Freedmen's Bank lost $3 million, and it accumulated at that time $75 million at the time. That's what it accumulated. Right after slavery. Only like a couple years, 5-6 years. Okay, so it lost $3 million. It went from 75 million today's time, right? Inflation and things like that. 75 million. It lost 3 million in today's time because of white establishment. Okay, so that loss wasn't just a loss just for them. That loss destroyed early FBA credit infrastructure, the seed that's for today's racial wealth gap. All right, hold on. I woke up with it. My nose just won't stop running. Okay, so I mentioned convict leasing. He didn't know what that was. So I said Alabama's 1880s. Listen, family, write this down. Alabama's 1880s economy was 70% powered by leased black prisoners, right? So we're talking about convict leasing, the peonage system. So crime at that time, crime definitions like vagrancy, that means like without a job, right? Shit. I mean, damn, the country was just split through the Civil War. You want a foundation of Black America to find work immediately, or you get locked up. That was crazy. So crimes like vagrancy criminalize unemployment, ensuring a new slave supply. Okay, so he says Tulsa was rebuilt and is better than ever. I'm gonna rewind it so you can hear it yourself. I don't know how you rebuild lives. So only 20% of survivors rebuilt. Insurance claims were denied. Generational businesses erased. But present day Tulsa reparation cases 2022 to 2024 confirmed no family was compensated. Oh, rebuilt, sure, by white developers after bulldozing the graves. Like, what are we doing here? This guy was too easy for me.
You can't say rebuilt, because what we're talking about is that, right? But I'm saying, but that was that right to burn it down in the first place and extract all the wealth out of the community? Was that right?
No, it wasn't right, but it was rebuilt.
Right. No.
So if it was rebuilt, where is it now?
Well, well, first of all, when it was rebuilt, the people who suffered the race riots, they didn't, or the burn down, they didn't benefit from that. The kids didn't benefit from that. These folks had banks. These folks had insurance companies. I don't know if you know, like, the business that was going on there. So when you rebuild it, are there? But okay. Listen, there's a reason why there's a reparation thing right now still entertaining Oklahoma. Like, there's a black, I think, mayor who's opening to relook at Tulsa again. So the reparations thing is still there. They were not compensated, but you can't justify burning down a city. People died too. How do you rebuild some people's lives? A lot of black folks died, but that was just wrong. But I'm not trying to stay there. I'm just pointing out, when we were successful, when we were not blaming white people, and we start to gain employment and business for ourselves, white folks would come by and destroy it one way or another and make us start back from zero. So that's all I was pointing out. I wasn't like staying right there. I'm just pointing out, when we didn't complain and when we strapped up our bootstraps, white folks would come and undermine and sabotage and outright burn our cities down, keeping us from wealth and starting back from ground zero. That's all I was pointing out.
Okay, I agree with that, but understand that was the mentality of white people back then. That's not the same mentality of white people today. So you can't.
Right. How does he know the mentality of white people? Okay, but like I said to him, only 20% of survivors rebuilt. Insurance claims were denied. Generational businesses erased. And like I said, present day Tulsa reparation cases 2022 to 2024 confirmed no family was compensated, my boy. All right, so now we go into a new argument here.
Behind what was done 100 years ago to say that white people are doing it today.
No.
Completely different mindset. Completely different.
Wait, you don't hear it. Wait, you didn't hear it. I asked about Tariq Nasheed. I never told you how I looked at things. Okay, because I don't go around blaming white supremacy for nothing. Right?
Oh no, I'm talking to you right now.
Okay, yeah. So you need to know, like, my position then. So I'm bringing you down to where I'm at. So Black Wall Street is like 1921. Okay. So now the Great Depression was 1929, right? So leading up to the Great Depression, were white folks collectively doing good in this country, like financially? Or
collectively, I would say no one was doing good collectively. That's why I call it the Great Depression.
Right, and I said, okay, so right after the Great Depression, we can imagine like white folks are still in like a rut, right?
Yeah, and what I'm hearing, it was the World War II that got us out of it. I mean, I haven't done any real research into that, but that's what I'm hearing. It was World War II that got us out of the Great Depression.
Right, but before we get to World War II, and you might be right, I haven't researched that either, and that's something I could do later. But I know other things that was implemented around a little after the Great Depression that helped white society or America rebuild, right? And I'm gonna say white society because black folks didn't benefit from it at all as a collective. But are you familiar with zoning laws?
Yeah.
Okay. So is zoning laws a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it depends upon how they're used. I mean, anything could be good or bad.
Okay. So, what I'm saying is the zoning laws of the early 1900s, where they made it illegal for black people with wealth to move out of the hood, and live in a better area, better housing, which you're supposed to have access to. You're American citizen. So zoning law, that's wrong, right? Keeping black folks of wealth in the same city as people who ain't doing so well, and then their living conditions were not good, So that's wrong. We would agree zoning laws is bad, right? Racial zoning laws are okay. So now, right after 4 years after the Great Depression, now black folks were working the whole time, right? Before and afterwards, black folks had to work, hard labor, physical hard labor. We were working like in the fields, sharecropping. We were doing physical hard work. You agree? Before, during, and after the Great Depression, we were working really hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Was white folks working real hard?
I would say everybody worked hard.
Okay, so then why?
So you say that white? You think that white folks were just sitting in the shade sipping tea?
Okay, so then I got it. So then why were they gifted the HOLC, the homeowners loan? I forgot the C corporation. Why were they gifted monies and benefits to own homes? Something they did not deserve. They didn't work for it. It was another gift, like the Homestead Act. If they were working hard and pulling them things, tying their strings up like black folks, why were they also now gifted something later, the HOLC?
Well, that's just because you got a loan. That don't mean you aren't working. You still have to work.
Okay,
so you have to work even if you gifted something.
Okay, so now what about the FHA? Right afterwards, so after 1933. They were gifted with the HOLC, and then the FHA was gifted with that in 1934. They didn't work for it. It wasn't owed to them. It was gifted, and it excluded black folks as a collective.
Okay, what about it? Well, I would say this. I mean, you can talk about the past and stuff that happened in the past.
No, actually, that past is to, okay, so I'll say that for a reason. So you got the New Deal in 1935. So 34 HOLC, 34 FHA, and 1935 was the New Deal, and what was included in the New Deal is Social Security. So this ain't past. This is something happening right now. SSI. This was you have the GI Bill in 1944 that excluded black folks and that gifted war white veterans home ownership and also free schooling at prestigious schools. These were things denied to black vets. So what I'm pointing out is that 1933, HOLC, 1934, FHA, and 1935, the New Deal, and also welfare came with that, and white folks were the only people allowed on welfare. But all of these things is what created the middle class and white wealth today. The HOLC, the FHA, is solely responsible for white home ownership, right? That helped generate generational wealth. You get generational wealth through land ownership that was gifted to white folks in 1862. I'm trying to point out something.
Okay.
They were
but how is that
success.
the case? I'm just saying, how is that the case when the majority of millionaires are first-time millionaires today?
Okay, so so confirmed by Brookings 2019, NBER 2020, and Federal Reserve Studies. Make sure my mic is on. Okay. HOLC maps. That's why in the song, in the you see, you're talking about HOLC, FHA. You might hear that in the song.
Black Wall Street
You hear songs for HOLC. You talking about?
chief executive of the rich folk.
So right there, I was talking about A. Philip Randolph. He was in the ear of was FDR and got the general order passed. So but that song you hear back is called Resistance. So I'm talking about we always were resistant, right, to white supremacy. And while we were resistant, white supremacy, their descendants always got assistance. And I'm pointing that out to him. Like, yo, zoning laws, HOLC, FHA, New Deal, GI Bill, that's all assistance. You guys got assistance, welfare assistance over and over and over. And we just had resistance. Like we resisted white supremacy. That's all we could do because we didn't get assistance. So that's what that song calls, resistance versus assistance. But anyway, confirmed by Brookings 2019, NBR 2020, and Federal Reserve Studies. HOLC maps label black neighborhoods hazardous, locked us out of low interest mortgages, FHA loans 1935 all the way to 1968. 98% were white recipients all the way to 1968, buddy. GI Bills benefited systematically denied to 1 million black vets. So if pulling yourself up by your bootstraps worked, he had to explain why the government handed white folks the boots. Right? There you go. Where did our boots come from? They were handed their boots. That's what I'm trying to point out to old boy. But some of y'all know, like they deliberately act stupid. They deliberately act like they don't know what's going on, like little brand new kids. So he said, well, if that's true, then why most of millionaires are the first time millionaires today? Like what?
Majority of millionaires would be a first time. Plus the whole concept of generation.
I didn't say
the whole concept of generational wealth.
I said the middle class.
The middle class. Well, what's stopping the black person from getting in the middle class today?
Okay.
But what I want to say though is, of all the stuff that you talked about from the past, yes, if you look at the financial figures, black people will gain the economic in this country.
When?
You know, as Thomas Sowell always says that from 1940 to 1960, the poverty rate among black people
not Thomas Sowell.
Look at the financial figures. Black folks were closing the income gap with white people.
Hold on. No, you can't say it's not all that.
Facts.
Look,
these are facts. They're not my opinion. These are facts.
Okay, I got you. So Thomas Sowell.
Look at the poverty rate. Look at the poverty rate. No, that's Thomas Sowell. Look at the poverty rate for black people from 1940 to 1960. Was cut in half.
Okay, listen.
Black men were closing the income gap with white men.
Hold on, wait. Hold on. We can't jump from one thing to the other. And that's why I said now look, you said don't go to the past when I said 1862 and 1900s and 1933, but you went to the past. You said 1940, 1950.
Because I'm discrediting what you're saying, despite all of those things.
Yeah, I'm discrediting. I'm going to the past to discredit what you're saying. You see, family, so I caught him in his own dumb logic. That's twice I got him. So he told me stick to 2000s, don't mention the past, and there he goes mentioning Thomas Sowell. He referenced Thomas Sowell who mentioned the past, and it was funny. They say don't go into the past, but all of their scholars, even the conservative scholars like Thomas Sowell, they deal with the past. So it's like, wait a minute, the people you reference deal with the past.
You should be progressing in America.
Yeah, but no, we were not progressing at all.
Yeah, I just gave you a fact that black people cut the poverty rate among blacks.
Okay. Yeah, we cut the
income gap. The income gap was increasing for black people, and they were closing the income gap with white people.
What was our income? Okay, so what was the percentage of the income gap? Do you know? Because I know.
Well, no, I don't know the exact number, but I know they were closing the income gap. I know they closed the poverty gap.
So listen. No, it was
they cut the poverty there.
It was all right, 52%. But we always were working. We were just working the hard. Like for example, if you're working 80 hours a week and it's hard work, because our work we had to work, brother. Unemployment insurance we didn't qualify for because of the type of work we did. So we didn't qualify for none of the benefits that came throughout the New Deal because it was the type of work we did, right? They made sure that whatever work we did, you were disqualified for these unemployment benefits, SSI benefits, SS, all these things that benefited white folks. So it's not bragging rights to say, hey, we're closing the gap on white folks, but we're still 50% behind, but we're working like hell because we don't have, and we're dying without any type of pensions. We didn't qualify for any pensions. So all of these benefits, these gifts that were given to white folks, the things you benefit today, we didn't benefit from that time. But what I was trying to share with you was that you said what's stopping us from doing great today? And what I'm trying to point out to you, there's something that was stopping us from being great was the same thing stopping white folks from being great. And that's why, and that's called opportunity. And that's why white people gifted the government. It's called welfare. Public assistance is welfare. So welfare started all the way back in 1862. White folks has always been on welfare. They were always gifted assistance they didn't deserve, work for, or were qualified for. Nothing was owed to them. It was gifted to them. So when they were gifted with the low interest rates on homes, with the HOLC, when they were gifted with down payments, and do you know if they faltered on their mortgage, they wouldn't take the house from them? Like that, that's a hell of an advantage. Now, in this country, general wealth is passed down by home ownership. America has excluded black people deliberately from home ownership. They'll burn your city down if they couldn't get it through laws. But white folks were gifted home ownership and gifted land rights, land ownership. So this is how it was passed down from this person to that child, to that descendant, and itself. You could work at McDonald's and your home can make money for you, equity and things like that. You could borrow against it, refinance. So that was wealth in their hand. While at the same time, we were being stripped from it and locked out. And not just home ownership, they were also given pensions, Social Security benefits, unemployment insurances, and they locked us out of all that stuff all until 1968. For that.
Okay, but are you aware that generational wealth is generally lost by the third generation?
So he said, are you aware that generational wealth is lost by the third generation? But before we go there, let's go back to Thomas Sowell. So he claimed that Thomas Sowell stated black poverty dropped from 40 to 60% and that we were doing fine. Okay, so those gains happened, okay? The gains he's talking about where we were so-called closing the wealth gap. Those gains happened under government regulation and unions, not anything else. So the 1970s reversal, it correlates with deindustrialization and redlining, not laziness. So when he say, hey man, you guys were closing the wealth gap around the 1950s and 1960s, and then you guys, it just something happened after 1968. That's because after 1968, family, during the 1970s, deindustrialization and redlining, so they cut back jobs, unemployment spiked, and they was redlining again, right? Those things which helped skew that number where it went crazy the other way. Okay, so they sabotage it. They sabotage our progress and say, look, you guys ain't doing nothing. Oh, see, it ain't racism. It's you guys not doing nothing. So Thomas Sowell reads graphs like he's trying to find Waldo, by the way. He misses the whole landscape intentionally. So
what percentage?
Well, basically, pretty much all of it. By the second generation, usually about 90, 70, 80% of it is gone, and by the third generation, it's mostly all gone.
Yeah, you got to send me something on that. But But that's a hell of an advantage. You agree that if I can have a home and this person got a rent, ain't that a hell of an advantage? And it was gifted to me. Nothing I worked for. No, I didn't pull my bootstraps up.
Okay, well, get a home. Buy a home. Black folks can buy homes today. So buy a home.
Well, okay. I'm glad you said that, because now we're moving closer. So we're going to talk about the FHA of 1968. Okay, that's 1968. So that means black folks were legally discriminated against home ownership. Like you said, just buy a home, all the way into 1968. Okay, so where black folks were being redlined. Are you familiar with redlining?
Yes, I'm familiar with redlining.
Okay, so redlining started in 1933, back when they gifted white folks with mortgage interest rates so low, no down payment. They won't take your house from you. Just keep trying. At the same time, they instituted redlining, where they said, no, blacks, you're not going to qualify for none of this HOLC, SHA stuff. We're going to systemic racism, draw a line or color code this area to say you guys are high risk. Now, they just lied. We were never high risk. They just, your color, because you were a certain color, because you came from a certain ethnic group, you were at high risk. So you were born into high risk. There's nothing you didn't have or did have. You were just born into it. And like you said, nobody's doing good at that time with money. So, but white folks all across America qualified for these free things. So, but anyway, the red line starts from there. Brother, the redlining end? It's 2025. The redlining end.
Well, redlining still exists. However, redlining is legitimate. It's legitimate.
Huh?
Redlining is legitimate. What you do that redlining is pretty much nothing but a credit rating. Just like you have an individual credit rating based off of how you behave with your credit. If you do the things that's going to cause you to have good credit, you're going to have good credit. You do the things that's going to cause you to have bad credit, you'll have bad credit. So redlining today is determined based off of the behavior of the people in the neighborhood. So if the people in your area are doing the things that's going to cause you to have redlining, such as high crime rates, and that makes your area a place that's an area that's not deemed a great place to invest in, where it's going to be considered redlining. But if your area is redlined, it's because of the behavior of the people. Okay. You have to change the behavior of the people.
Wait, hold on. So the behavior of the people in 1934, was that bad?
No, but the behavior of the people today is bad.
Wait, hold on. Well, what about, because I just told you redlining.
Okay, but you keep running. My question is, how is redlining from the past stopping blacks today?
But you got it because
maybe racism was redlining black people in the past. Today is black people's behavior. No. There's no black person who's held back because no redline today, other than your behavior in your own community. So if the black community is redlined, then you need to go in that community and tell the people to stop doing the things that's causing your place to be a bad place to want to invest in.
Okay.
So I agree that redlining was bad in the past, but redlining today is based off of behavior. If you have high crime rates, poor academic output, low income per capita, because you make the behavior, you make the choice of the behavior to cause these things, when that's on you.
Okay.
Stop doing the things that cause your area, your neighborhood to be redlined, and it wouldn't be redlined.
I got you. So Soul City.
All this is just a credit rating. It's a credit rating.
I got you. So
it's just the area
City.
Credit rating.
I got you. I heard you 10 times. So Soul City, did that city fail? In the 1970s. So now we're going past.
Now, of course, he knows nothing about Soul City. Okay. So he said redlining. I said redlined it. He said redlining ended. Now it's just FBA behavior. It's our culture. Those things is keeping us down. Okay. So the 2023 Brookings report, black borrowers still pay 13 BPS higher interest with same credit profile. For there's no excuse. That means the black guy with the same credit score, same profile, decent job, and decent job, good credit, same thing, right? Same thing. And we still were discriminated against. So the Fed study, 74% of formerly red line zones remain low income and majority black. So what else we talk about? So he likes to talk about bad behaviors, our bad behaviors, our culture, the way we're behaving. That's why people don't respect us. Blah 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 blah. But the bottom line is that FHA maps literally colored, coded risk by risk, not arrest stats, predating modern policing with these damn maps. So when the banks red pen us in 1933, they weren't analyzing behavior, they were glazing the lineage. You dig?
As we're going to the civil rights era, because you said redlining, stop doing bad habits. So you would agree that when black folks were being excluded from things and being discriminated against up until 1968, do we agree that black folks were not doing anything bad? We didn't have bad behavior. It was white folks with bad behavior who were discriminating us, right, against the.
Yes, back then it was racist.
Okay.
Today it's not.
All right, so I'm setting them up again for the shakedown.
Okay. Wait.
Yes, it was. I agree.
Okay. So for 100 years, from 1862 all the way to 1968, about a little over 100 years, do you agree that white people, as far as a system, had bad behavior, stripping black folks, depriving us, undermining us, sabotaging us, making sure we started from zero about the time the Civil Rights Act started? Do you agree with that? That bad behavior caused that?
Yes, but it's not bad behavior that caused your area to be redlined. There's certain criteria that would make your community be
my question was
a
this.
place to invest in.
No, that wasn't my question. My question was focused on white people and systemic racism. What I was saying was, so I'm not talking about black folks just yet. I'm saying from 1862 to 1968, would you agree that white people as a collective had that bad behavior, and you will agree that the government, right, the national and state government and all other systems collectively, white people as a collective, had that bad behavior for 100 years? 1862, 1968.
Yeah, so so you saying that because they had the bad behavior, they should have the same output as blacks today?
They should have, they should have a worse output.
Oh, well, okay, well, no, because see, here's the thing again, it's the type of bad behavior I'm talking about. Okay, the area is not redlined because somebody supposedly took land. The area is redlined because you have high crime rates, high murder rates.
So what would
academic outperformance? So
I got it.
So did white people back then have high crime rates? Were white people? Well, based off of what? Back then, white people were 13% of the population, responsible for half the murders. Okay. Responsible for like 60% of all violent crime.
So that's another fake false stat that Charlie Kirk and other Nick Fuentes and Richard Spencer, Jared Taylor, these guys will quote another cherry picked false stat that they misrepresent.
Well, at that time, they're responsible. Wait, hold on. You asked the question. At that time, they were responsible for like 90%, especially in the black community. They were responsible for like 90% of murders. Do you agree?
But I'd have to look up the numbers. But so they were 13% of the population responsible for that.
So he kind of dodged what I just said. I said he's saying that we're 13% of the population. We commit 50% of murders. I'm saying, well, shit. When it came to black murders, at one point in America, white folks, you're talking about 50%. White folks were responsible for like 80-90% of black murders. I'm being extreme, but I think you guys get the point. Where I'm going or where I went, but he keep equating today's stats with moral failing, right? So FBI data equals, so what he just talked about, with the 13% of population responsible for 50% of murders. First of all, he read that wrong. He made that up. He can't source that up. FBI data equals arrest rates, not conviction or offense rates. So over policing inflates black numbers, dummy. But we had more arrests for murder, FBA, than whites, but we did not get the conviction. So nobody was convicted for murder. They got arrested for murder. Or like any type of violent crime. They were arrested, not convicted. So they take that and misconstrue it and say, hey, so they replace arrests with convictions. So we were arrested at a large rate, but we're not convicted at a large rate. So they just took away the word arrest and said, hey man, they were convicted of all these murders and crimes, horrible violent crimes. That's how you spent it, by the way, family. It had nothing to do with arrests, had everything to do with convictions. But they spent it it's weird. But I always say you can never trust a conservative. They just have to lie. Okay. So whites commit most crimes numerically, obviously, raw numbers in most people. They're 60% of the population. So you can't use arrest data from over police zones to prove morality. That's not good. It's not good. All right, so where is he going now?
Black people are 13% of black. We're 13% of population responsible for more than half the murder. So 13% of population today responsible for more murders than the other 87% of population.
And look,
60% of all violent crimes committed by blacks. All of the things that will make your area.
Wait, hold on. Back up. Because I agree with you. You said 13%, 50% of the murders. That's terrible. That's bad. So I'm not justifying. I'm not, looking over that. That's terrible.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, what behavior, you say that, what behavior of black.
So what I'm doing, family, is leading by example. I'm saying, hey, well, hold on. My thing is going to die. Hold on. My laptop is on its last leg. Okay, so I'm leading by example. I'm saying, hey, if what you're saying is true, I'm not going to justify. I'm not going to be like a Pan-Africanist or a tether or white supremacist and justify bad behavior. If you're saying 13% of us, which we make up 13% of population, but we commit 50% of the murders, I'm like, hey, if that's true, that's bad. I'm not going to sit here and bite my fingernails and make up an excuse for bad behavior. That's why I left it like that. Like, all right, dude, I'm the wrong guy. You ain't going to catch me fighting the little stuff when there's a bigger argument, a bigger fight to be had, which I believe I got him on a roast. And I could have been more aggressive, but I ain't need to because he wants to come back on, by the way. So, I'll be more aggressive when he come back on.
White people back then would have made their areas a bad place to invest in. So, for instance, let me give you an example. I like to use two people wanted to open up a shop. Let's say you got person A and person B. Person A want to open up, both of them want to open up a computer repair.
And why they always sound zesty, yo? They be having that in common. People who are against FBAs, they really be zesty.
Shop. Person A wants to open up a computer repair shop in the middle income area where people have plenty of disposable income, where they can afford to get devices fixed. They can afford multiple different devices, okay, for their kids and everything. And person B wants to open up a computer repair shop in the hood where the shop is more likely to get robbed and patronized. Well, who is more likely to get approved for a loan to open up a shop? So you telling me, obviously the answer to that question would be person A in the middle income area as opposed to person B trying to do the same thing in the hood. So you're telling me that black people or white people back in the day, they were that your shop, if you open up a shop amongst white people back then, your shop would be more likely to be robbed and patronized?
It'll be burned down if we're talking about anywhere before 1968.
In the white community? Or are you talking about amongst black?
No, the white community. Okay, so now let me explain. So remember I said the HOLC, right? And I said zoning laws. So now these zoning laws in the HOC, when they was giving white folks gifted homes, basically, give them a free home. Here's a free home. So it wouldn't matter if the money dispersed second, third generation. The fact that you got a free home is the point. All right, that's called public assistance. That's called welfare. Nobody been on welfare longer than white folks. Okay, now, so during the zoning laws, so now, brother, there were some black people who were able to get around the zoning laws. There were some loopholes in that, and brother, they actually end up living, buying homes where white folks are buying homes at, who benefited from the HOLC and the FHA. And brother, can you imagine what happened to their homes? Can you just imagine? Now, keep in mind, you said there's no such thing as a white neighborhood, just a nice area that white folks started to buy up homes. Black folks had bought homes also, a few of them, not a lot, 2, 3, had bought homes in those same nice areas where white folks were at. So it's just to answer your analogy. You know what happened to those black folks who were able to get around those loopholes and buy homes next to those bad behaving whites? You know what happened to them? Their homes? They were burned down.
They took it from them?
Burned down.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, what was so?
Yeah, so you see, he's not trying to listen and learn. And oh wow, he's okay and moving on to the next. Just like he sound like a revenue. He sound like this is Revenue's dad.
White people, you're saying that it was bad behavior or bad people because they were racist against black. I'm saying is, if you live in the white community, what was the like I said, if you lived in the white community, were you more likely to be killed as if you lived in the hood today? Were white folks killing and shooting each other, thugging?
All right, so he's in a bad analogy. He's saying he's saying pre-integration, were you likely to be harmed by white people? Like, hell yeah, it's Jim Crow, man. It's like the purge. That's a legal purge.
Gang banging, thugging, and killing and shooting each other in gangs where they pants sagging. There was just mass violence amongst them.
What time frame
or did they just do that?
Are we talking about?
I'm talking about the past. Did they just do that?
Oh,
so you're saying that white
they were way
people,
more violent.
that white
shit.
Okay, they were so what was so white people were killing themselves at again. So if they were 13% of probably most of the population, you tell me that they were just killing and shooting each other every day.
Okay,
that there was as much violence amongst white people back then as we see amongst black people today.
Okay, so let me answer that. So, brother, are you familiar? Are you familiar with the terms interracial crimes and intra-racial crimes?
Yes.
Okay. So, intra-racial crimes, are black and white numbers the same?
Well,
like almost the same. Like, oh, okay.
Well, at a certain point in time, the crime rates amongst black people were really on par with that with white folks.
I'm talking about today. Okay, and then because you said
today, no, that's not even remotely close today.
Oh no, okay. I don't know. Close. Okay, then you're looking at.
We can look at the FBI crime stats.
Close. Okay, so I hope you're. Okay, I hope you're not looking at the same FBI crime stats that Jared Taylor was looking at, because if you look at those crime stats, brother, you're not looking at crime stats. You're looking at Jared Taylor stats. But I'm gonna tell you that real stats. So you got interracial crimes. Okay, that means white on white, black on black are close. They're similar. Okay, and then you got interracial crimes, black on white, black on white, white on black. That's 50% black on white, is 11% white on black. Brother, the crime stats amongst each other, amongst blacks and whites are almost identical. And when you go black to white, white to black, those are also almost identical. It doesn't stick out. Nothing shows that blacks are more criminal-minded than whites.
Oh, excuse me. So you telling me, so white people have the same murder rates as black?
Well, you keep saying murder. There's other crimes out here.
There's plenty of crimes, but according to the FBI, the FBI crime stats, black folks are committing at a far higher rate. And I'm talking about the same stats that everybody uses. Okay, that's the same stats that everybody uses.
Yeah, but you keep saying murder, so I'm trying to be more specific.
Well, violent crime in general.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Just relax.
Because violent crime and murder is one of the things that's going to cause your area to be red.
Just hold on. Just hold on. Well, okay, brother. Now let's use your analogy. So with the home, with the two people investing in a business in white neighborhood, black neighborhood. Okay, let's go back to that. There's one neighborhood that has crime in there, all type of crime, right? That's A, and then another neighborhood has also crime in there. That's B. If B is over the police and more than A, wouldn't you have more crime stats in area B than A?
Well,
Okay, so I ain't gonna lie. What I wasn't prepared for was the denial, like of the most simplest raw facts about white supremacy. I didn't know that he would like be in denial of like white supremacy the way he was. Like that caught me off guard because I wasn't really at this point. I wasn't really used to debating conservatives. So I'm like, wow, this for the Coonservative think. This how they think.
how is police
So no
B
answer.
over police? Well, how is it over police though? How is it over police? Over police based off of what?
Well, based off nothing.
Place that but you're saying that the white area, the middle income area has the same amount of crime. It doesn't. You're trying to make the case that white people are committing crime at the same rate as blacks, not even remotely.
Okay, let's go back. So now
it's not even remote.
Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. So the war on drugs. Who use and sell drugs more, whites or blacks?
Well, where's the evidence that white people use drugs the same? Because again, I know where you're going. You're about to tell me about these studies that say that white people use drugs at the same rate. The problem is that these studies they're not scientific. They're just studies. They're hearsay. Basically,
So now he's dismissing the studies that he referenced all day long. Now they're not studies because they're not science based. They're based on polls and things like that, but they're not science based. So now all of a sudden, studies don't count.
How do you come to this conclusion at the same rate? The problem is that these studies they're not scientific. They're just studies. They're hearsay. Basically, how they come to this conclusion, I'm about to let you know how they come to the conclusion is that they would do a survey. They would ask people and say like drug treatment rehab centers and such.
Well, wait. Okay, let's use that same. Wait. Let's. I know where you're going. Remember, but remember, you stopped me because you know where I was going. I'm gonna stop you. Know where you're going. Okay, so how does the FBI get their data?
From police stations.
Okay, now
they compile data from police stations.
Hold on. So now, and also there's other private entities that also take these stats and FBI get their information as well. Now, the police stations are a lot of crime. Isn't it reported? FBI reports a lot of crimes in white neighborhoods are underreported.
Are they underreported? Based off of what?
According to the same FBI.
Yeah, and he also doesn't believe in over policing. He's a little wild boy. Like I said, he caught me off guard with that type of talk. I wasn't used to like that type of deliberate disrespect towards FBAs and like the glazing of white supremacy. Like that caught me off guard. So like I was mentally like drained. Like, wow, you believe that? You think these folks really are your saviors?
Yeah, crime data thing that you claim you're looking at. Didn't they say that a lot of crimes in white neighborhoods go underreported?
Yeah, I would say so. But then when you also see that a lot of crime in a black community also go unsolved and unreported because there's no attitude.
Now look.
Yeah, so he's bucking right now. He's bucking his eyes. And so he wants to come back on and debate me. I guess he went and did some research and he think he could do better. And I said, okay, cool. We'll work out a day. Well, I know he likes to come on like 11 a.m., 11, 12, the same time I go live nowadays anyway. So that's perfect. So tomorrow I'm going to replay his um electrifying debate with DJ Focus. So you see me, I was more serious, more just having fun with him, taking him serious, and I shouldn't. I didn't know he's a clown. But when DJ Focus debated him, it was like more lit, more exciting, more arguing, more name calling. And yeah, so I'm gonna do a review on that tomorrow. So I did my, it's not even over, but I'll probably finish up tomorrow, my debate with him. But family, what you don't want to do is ever rematch a debate with me, because I'm gonna make sure I come tippy top sharp. So anyway, yeah, but they argue same topic, but they argue more, let's say rabbit holes. So you see, I kept it really to the point, to the argument, to the topic. They went everywhere: music industry, birth control, pro-life versus pro-choice. Like they went everywhere, and they was, a lot of over talking each other loud. And but this is what I want y'all to pay attention to. Yes, it's gonna be entertaining. You're gonna laugh at the arguments, the disrespect they were giving each other, the lack of respect. But I want y'all to listen to the arguments, because the arguments don't change. Like tethers, they're not innovative. White supremacists also not innovative, and neither are FBA Coonservatives. So they just use each other talking points. Like nobody put it in their own words. It's the same talking points. So you're gonna hear more. See, with me, Donnie, he was more cautious and he was more reserved. So I told DJ Focus on the phone today. I said he was more afraid of me when he debated, because he ain't open up. He kept like his arguments tight, not too broad and goofy. But I said when he debated you, like he opened up the damn refrigerator, he opened up the damn toilet, microwave door open. Like he let it all hang out. He was like confident with DJ Focus. Like he talked about things he'd have never mentioned with me, because me, I'm a researcher. We get that from. But he just, you'll see tomorrow. So I gotta meet. I told some of you guys this morning, got great news. My son gonna start school. So I said Monday, because they told me Monday. I ain't know Monday's a goddamn holiday. They told me Monday. So I guess they messed up. But I'm glad the chat corrected me, because I would have been up there Monday looking like a fool. Can't get into school. But I'm meeting with one of the guys tomorrow to discuss, uniform and what he needs for school and things like that. So I guess it's going to be Tuesday. I was wishing it was Friday. I mean, I was wishing it was Monday, but so it's first day gonna be Tuesday. So it's gonna be kind of weird, like going to the like the restaurant, Starbucks or wherever, without him. I'm gonna love it, but it's going to be weird. I'm used to, so it's something I gotta get used to, and it should be great. Great lives. So tomorrow, so yes, anyway, I say that for a reason. So tomorrow I gotta do that, right? Um then I got this appointment at 1:40 p.m. So I gotta meet with some dude at the school, whatever he is, whatever his title is, Spanish guy, at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. And then at 1:40 I gotta do this fingerprint thing. So after that, this is a different city. So after 1:40, I'm most likely gonna just go live out there, right? Not even come back here to go live. I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna find a restaurant out there, go live. Hopefully their McDonald's is better. Out where I'm at now, it's like it's New Mexico. You dig? It's goddamn El Chapo people out here. So one thing about Spanish people, they pack up everything. So I'm talking about in numbers. So the McDonald's, I can never go live in there. no matter how far the internet is, they're always in there packed. So that's why I go to better restaurants where they're not going to be there. Like the cheap bullshit restaurants, they're going to flood those. But a more upscale, like even like a Starbucks, they're not going to be in there at all. You'll see Asians, Indians, and tethers in there. So the city I'm going for the fingerprints is more like Indian, East Indian, like really no Spanish. So I'm gonna find a McDonald's or something out Starbucks, something out there to go live and cook on some diaspora work, most likely. Oh no. See, I lost track what I was doing. I'm gonna do this same guy versus DJ Focus. That one is more entertaining. You're gonna laugh. They're arguing. They're doing a pissing contest. It gets a little wild. So anyway, chat. See it because 1 a.m. It's kind of my cutoff. I went late today, live today because I was on the phone with relatives, whatever they was calling me, talking to me. So I will see you guys. But 1 a.m. is my cutoff for now, late, and especially because I gotta wake up for this appointment. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, most likely. Let's say fingerprint, 30, 40 minutes, maybe, who knows, 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. I'm probably going to see you guys live. All right, so enjoy your night. Take yourself to bed and dig. And I'll see you tomorrow, man. Peace to the lineage. We are out.